Rewatch Podcast presents the Police Academy Film Series Rewatch. Join us each week as we go from the Academy to Miami to Moscow and revisit every film in the Police Academy franchise. Send your feedback to the Rewatch Podcast at gmail.com. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast or follow us on Twitter at Rewatch Pod. Today we're discussing Police Academy 3, Back in Training, starring Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow, Bubba Smith, George Gaines, David Graff, Leslie Easterbrook, Bruce Mailer, Marion Ramsey, Brian Tochi, Tim Kazurinski, Deborah Lee Scott, Art Matrano, Lance Kinsey, and Bobcat Goldthwait, again directed by Jerry Paris. Welcome back to the Rewatch Podcast. I'm Cory. Oh, and is this your lovely wife?
And this is Nathan. And I used to be a real jerk, but now I am a people guy.
Way to go. It's a great impression.
I don't often do impressions. That's a first for me on the show.
Nice work. I like it.
Thank you, man. How are you, man?
I'm awesome, mate. How you doing?
I'm good. Nice to be back for another Police Academy film.
I think we might have an interesting impression of this one as
Yes.
opposed to last week's.
Yeah. But before we get too far, shall we just kick it off with the trailer straight away?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Police Academy 3.
Got it. The state says it can no longer afford 2 police academies.
We better call
Mahoney.
Your favorite graduates are back.
We're here!
Mahoney,
We're rubies! What?
Hooks,
Don't move! They're back!
Callahan, Hightower, Tackleberry,
Do you want to kill me?
Backler, and Jones. Their assignment?
We're gonna make one hell of a cop.
Thanks, Dad. Oh, would you give this to Mom for me?
Mold a brand new generation of recruits
That didn't hurt!
into a fighting machine in a matter of weeks.
Shit!
Then, together, they're going to save their beloved academy the only way they know how. By chance. Police Academy 3, Back in Training.
You're sitting in a non-smoking area.
Put it up when I'm finished.
You'll put it out now, mister.
What they don't know can't stop them.
All right, we're back.
Okay, so getting into the trivia.
Yeah, why don't you kick us off this week? I always do it.
All right, so this one, again, had a March release, March 21st of 86. Again, 1 year later, pumping them out.
Yep.
So doing pretty good on the releases. We have the film grossing $43.5 million in the United States, making it the 17th highest grossing film of 86. So yeah, you know, it's slowly going downhill,
But
as we can see, but it's still doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's still doing pretty good business. Like, I mean, $43 million is nothing to get upset about, is it?
Especially for a part 3 in a series.
Yeah, and it's not like this is like a special effects laden masterpiece. This is a on-set, on-location, it's not even that long a film. It goes for an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty svelte, you know. They try to pad it out as much as they can, but...
They did.
Yeah,
But-
and, well, at the same time, like, the competition, I mean, we had some pretty impressive competition the last 2 years that it was up against. This one, maybe not so much. Back to School, Ruthless People, Ferris Bueller, I guess, is a big one. But honestly, I don't know how big Ferris Bueller's Day Off when it came out.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the numbers. I mean, it's obviously kind of gone on to be a cult classic, you know, for the ages that we'll probably be watching forever. But at the time, I'm not too sure if it connected. I wouldn't mind doing some research actually and finding out.
Short Circuit is in there as well.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure how big that was when it came out. But then you got things just like Down and Out in Beverly Hills, Legal Eagles, Running Scared, The Money Pit, Gung Ho.
Yeah.
I guess kind of big.
I've heard of most of these films, and there's more too. There's Hannah and Her Sisters, Wildcats. I think that was a Goldie Hawn film, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And Jojo Dancer, Your Life is Calling.
No idea.
No idea. In fact, I'm not too sure who was in Jojo Dancer. That sounds familiar. I'm kind of keen to find out. Jojo. Yeah, it's a Richard Pryor film. That's exactly. Yeah, that's right. It's Richard Pryor is autobiography or biography with Richard Pryor as himself. It's kind of a weird film. I remember hearing about this film. It was a total disaster and wonder. It was actually directed by Richard Pryor as well. So yeah, but back to that list. I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but even though the competition may not have been as strong as previous years with Back to the Future and all those kind of films, like none of these films are sequels. They're all original properties. It's very interesting. It's so different today, isn't it?
Exactly, and it just goes back to 43.5 million on a part 3 it's pretty decent, especially when you're going up against all these original properties.
Yeah.
So.
And something that we haven't mentioned in the past is also that I found interesting is that when this was released on VHS, it actually grossed 21 million in the United States just in rentals. So what? That's nothing to get upset about, is it?
Exactly.
That's a lot of money.
In '86, this is really getting into the hype of the VHS rental, getting it into people's homes. So, yeah, not bad.
And if I recall, buying videotapes, even in the '80s, wasn't that cheap. It was still kind of expensive to buy videotapes, and I remember renting. If I remember rightly, when you go to a video store, they used to buy brand new releases for $300 or $400, I think.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, even when I was a kid throughout the 90s, VHS tapes were still really expensive. You could get 3 episodes of your favorite show, and that would be $25, $30.
Yeah.
Brand new. So, it wasn't until way later, once DVD started to come in and video stores would start to sort of get rid of their surplus VHS, you could buy them for $1 each or something.
Yeah, that's it. I know.
I had a huge collection.
Apparently, you can still buy VHS, which I just find amazing. I can't imagine who is using it. But we kind of joke about it, but there's probably a lot of older people out there that probably still do use them.
Yeah. There's no need to throw them away if they still work.
Well, if they still work, and if you're still taping stuff off them in long play.
Yeah. Anyway, so a great bit of trivia here. According to an interview on the Howard Stern radio show, Bobcat Goldthwait negotiated a deal to return for part 3 for $600,000, and then Goldthwait also told the producers that they should pay Tim Kazurinsky, who plays Sweet Chuck, the same amount, and the request was actually successful.
Man, those guys killed it, didn't they? Totally.
$600,000. I mean, it's not the big bucks that any big celebrity would get paid today, but $600,000 for appearing in part 3 of Police Academy, it's a good payday.
And they're not even the stars of the film. They're they're absolute B players.
Yeah,
totally.
I know. It makes you think what Gutenberg got paid.
Yeah, I know. Bobcat Goldthwait actually said in an interview that he was considered a difficult actor on the set. He had actually made a suggestion to the filmmakers that the villain in the final chase scene should be the same ones who appear earlier in the movie, and Bobcat was told to just say his lines and that they were not paying him to write.
I can imagine he's a difficult person to work with.
Yeah, I think he's just a creative. He might not be difficult, but I mean, who knows? I suppose back then he's just an actor, and they're up to part 3. I mean, I suppose the machine is well and truly happening, and they know what they're doing by that stage, don't they?
Yeah, but at the same time, this is a really large ensemble cast, so for him to just be trying to interject new lines and new scenarios into the film isn't something you really should be doing.
Now, I kind of read that there's a woman named Marsha Watkins who plays Cadet Sarah, is apparently the real-life wife of Sweet Chuck, and I was trying to work out which one was Cadet Sarah.
Sarah is the one, she's the geeky girl who's there with her mother, and Callahan goes up and says, I'm going to make you into a woman with brass balls.
Oh, my lord. That's hilarious.
It's like just that one scene with her, and then you never see her again.
You never see her again, but I kept trying to work out who Cadet Sarah was.
I thought the same thing when I read it. I'm like, Cadet Sarah? Is that the woman? Like, the one that Mahoney was trying to get with? No, that's not her. But so that's her in that one scene.
Now, another piece of interesting information is director Jerry Paris and Leslie Easterbrook allegedly had an affair while making this movie, and Leslie Easterbrook plays Lieutenant Callahan. Jerry actually died 10 days after the film's American release. This was actually his final film.
Yeah, I saw that. It's actually interesting that he had an affair with Leslie Easterbrook, because Jerry Paris is a reasonably older guy. He's actually in this film. He is the priest in the lineup.
Really?
Or was that the second? No, that was this film. Yeah. He's the priest in the lineup when the cadets come in and they turn on the lights.
Oh my god! That's hilarious. Yeah.
So you can see what an older guy he was.
Is that scene where the guys behind the glass going, "I know they can see me. I'm convinced they can see me."
Yeah, and then he points to the priest because he's
he's scared.
He's pointing the right guy.
Yeah. He fingers the wrong guy just so he doesn't get in trouble.
And we didn't actually mention it last week, but Jerry Paris's son is actually in the movie. He plays the brother of Copeland.
Oh.
Tackleberry's wife. You know, he married her.
Yeah.
He was the son who was getting in the fights with his father.
Oh, wow.
And that is Jerry Paris's son, Andrew Paris.
Andrew Paris, there you go. And Andrew Paris has been in a few things, I'm sure of it. I think I recognised him from like a Addams Family film or something like that. Let me just... Andrew Paris, let me try and find him. Because I'm kind of... Yeah, here we go. Andrew Paris, Police Academy 2, their first assignment. No, I'm completely 100% wrong. Yeah.
It's good like that. I'm Addams Family. I don't remember. I think I only saw the first two of those Addams Family movies anyway.
His last film was Police Academy 4, according to IMDb. So he obviously didn't go on to a very prolific career.
Yeah, got in a couple because of his dad, but that's about it.
Yeah. The Japanese character Nagata was originally written as a male Indian police cadet named Ramu. This actually explains why Nagata slept on a bed of nails from New Delhi and also liked to meditate with his hand over a candle flame. None of that's Japanese, apparently. It's all kind of Indian stuff.
It's funny when you read that because you're like, oh yeah, I never really thought about it that way. I don't know if that's racist or what, but
I quite liked him. I quite liked Nagata as a character. He made me giggle. He was quite good.
It's pretty funny. I mean, I used him for my opening line, so
yeah, nice. Nice.
All right, so out of all the movie posters he created, Drew Struzan said that he considers this poster for part 3 his personal favorite.
Wow. That's interesting.
And I'm pretty sure he did all the posters, the artwork for all the posters of, all the characters sort of together doing their funny things. So, yeah, he likes part 3 the best.
Now, keep in mind, wasn't Drew Struzan like a crazily famous poster artist that did, he did the Back to the Future posters and Harry Potter, and I'm pretty sure he was responsible for E.T. and the Goonies and Big Trouble in Little China and Star Wars and various other kind of really famous movies. So this guy.
Oh, you got to throw Mallrats in there as well. He did one for Mallrats, the Kevin Smith film.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my lord! Oh, that's hilarious! Wow, there you go, eh?
I think Vacation is on that list.
So this guy is really as good as it gets as far as kind of poster design is concerned, and he really does create iconic pieces of art. And I got to say, I mean, the Police Academy posters are pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, I like the style. He pretty much created the world of the poster art.
Do you know?
It's
Do you know
not
what
just
it?
pictures of the cast; it's drawings of them.
Yeah. Do you know
So
what it
it's
reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of like Mad Magazine. A little, a
yeah,
little bit like that kind of style, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this is actually the last time that we see Art Mantrano's character of Mauser in any Police Academy film, although he did guest star in Police Academy the series in
Oh, okay.
1997,
Have
which I haven't seen a single episode
Well, that's
of
what I was
yet.
going to say. Like, have you hadn't seen it?
No, no, never. Which is a shame, actually, because we'll get into it. But I think Art Matrano kind of steps up his game a bit more in this
Yeah.
installment.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly got more to do, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. This is the only Police Academy film to feature a Miss Universe winner, Shawn Weatherly, which was she's a cadet Karen Adams, who's Steve Guttenberg's love interest throughout the film. I didn't realise she was a Miss Universe winner. I mean, obviously it would have been a big opportunity for her, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, every movie gets another love interest for for Mahoney, so
For
it doesn't really matter.
let me rephrase it. Another love interest for sleazy Mahoney.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, he's a sleazeball.
Yeah, at this point, it's just ridiculous. They were trying to develop these women characters in the early film.
Yeah.
At least the first one, but yeah, it's just really like, who cares?
That's right. And that's about it. One other thing that I just wanted to mention as well is that apparently director Jerry Paris is he had originally intended that this film and Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol would be filmed back to back, but apparently Paris was too ill during production for this to work, and so Jim Drake was actually hired to direct the next film. So yeah, so I mean, I'm not too sure why they wanted to do two back to back, but whatever, it's okay.
Well, they seem to be pumping them out year after year, so
Yeah.
why not try to squeeze two together at the same time and sort of just have an overall budget for the two of them?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Anyway,
Yeah.
shall we? Do you want to get into our main discussion?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, so this one opens with Mauser and Proctor, and like I was saying, like I think Mauser steps up his game for this one, because we were saying like he was kind of like the poor man's Harris in the second one. Like there was no reason to swap out Harris for Mauser, but yeah, in this one I think he has a lot more physical comedy to do, and I like him a lot better this time around.
Well, they kind of, I mean, the general conceit of this film is that they go back to the police academy. So they had to kind of work out a way to bring the antagonist in the previous film and actually give him like a something to do here. So they basically set up two rival schools. So you've got Lassard's school, and then you've got Commandant Mauser's kind of school. And you're dead right. The film opens in a large kind of garage, I should say, where Proctor and Mauser actually meet up with former Police Academy cadets who are now sergeants, Chad Copeland and Carl Blanks, who, if you've been watching the rewatch with us, then you'll remember them from the first episode.
Yeah, they didn't come back in part two. We
Yeah.
mentioned how they were gone, and
Yeah.
so they show back up here.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Carl Blanks is the guy that got his head shaved mistakenly, if you know what I mean. So,
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I mean, this is a really funny scene. They're going, like, you know, they've got the trench coats and the sunglasses and the fedora hats, you know, trying to do it all covert and everything. And Mauser's like calling out how stupid it is that they're doing this, but at the same time, he's like playing along.
Yeah.
He can't help but not play along with it.
And doesn't he kind of say something like, you know, like who kind of, why are we doing all this cloak and dagger rubbish? You know what I mean? And
that's when he takes it. He's like, take off your sunglasses. So they take them off. And then suddenly Proctor goes, your sunglasses. And they all like freak out and put them back on. And like look around, seeing if anybody's there.
Yeah. So what Mauser's there kind of to do, because he's been given the inside word that the next day or something like that, the governor's going to announce that rather than having two police academies on the books, they're going to reduce it into one police academy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, so rather than just shutting one down, they're basically going to, the governor's going to have like a third-party committee based on independent criteria judge each school on its own merits, and they're going to shut down the school that's the worst one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
they set up this whole thing here at the beginning, though, because, you know, the reason they're at this parking garage is so Mauser can have Copeland and Blanks sort of mess around with what's going on.
yes,
You know, they're the inside guys for Mauser. And really, I don't think they do terribly a lot
they do basically nothing.
to hinder them. You know, there's a couple of things where they're like messing with the computer screen later on. There's the scene where they walk in on, you know, the guy doing the police lineup,
Yes,
kind of screw that up. That's about it.
and there's really not a hell of a lot that they actually do to help Lieutenant Mauser, but something that I will kind of say about Police Academy 3 is, as it's heavy on plot, but the plot's a bit ridiculous. It's a bit light in some regards. I mean, this film is all about the gags. It's endless gags. I'm talking like one gag finishes and another one hits you in the face before you know it.
Exactly. I mean, unlike the other ones, which, you know, the first one had a lot, like we were saying, to do with racism issues, sexism issues, all that stuff. The second one kind of just fell back a bit on that one. So this time around, let's get back to the academy. We'll do what we did with the first one, but we'll have non-stop gags of all the training and the new cadets and all that stuff. And then at the end, we'll have a huge action sequence.
Yes.
A big chase scene. Just to cap it off, to, you know, make it even better than the first one. So it's like doing the first one, but better. But
Yeah, I know.
not really.
No, not really. But in saying that though, there are parts of this film that I enjoyed 10 times more than Police Academy 2, for example.
Yeah, I can agree. This is a way big step up from part 2.
Yeah. So, after the governor's speech, in which he will actually appoint a committee to evaluate which of the two schools should remain open, Mauser starts getting an edge by kissing up to the governor, offering the committee an escort and showing the governor pages of useful tactics. And he's a total kiss up, isn't he? Like an A-grade kiss up. Like even more so in this one than he was in the second one.
He has some great lines, you know, there, because he like pulls out this document that he's created that's all about like cutting edge training techniques and stuff,
right.
But he's just dropping it all over the place. And he has a great line with Lassard, because Lassard walks up to him and goes, "May the better academy win." And Mauser's response is, "We intend to, sir."
That's right. And isn't there a great line at the end of that sequence with the governor, when he's kind of saying something to the governor, and doesn't Lieutenant Jones kind of trip him up by doing some sound effect that makes him sound like a total ass, and
yeah, like he has indigestion or something.
Yeah,
like puking up.
That's
words.
exactly right. And then I think the commander kind of comes over to them and says, "Pull yourself together, Mauser. None of this is going to help. You know, you've upset the governor. You know."
Ladies, gentlemen, truly a pleasure. Anyone need a ride? Police escort? Don't hesitate to ask. Oh, Governor! Magnificent speech. Bravo. I applaud you. Woo! Woo!
Why beat around the bush, Mauser? Just get down on your knees and kiss his ass.
I don't need any tactical advice from you, Callahan.
Governor! Governor! I know you're a busy man, sir, but I've been doing a study on some training techniques that I thought might interest you, sir.
The governor is in a hurry, Commandant Mauser.
I can remember you on these, sir. Oh, Governor, I speak for everyone when I say...
Let me assure you, Governor, Commandant Mauser does not speak for this academy.
Governor, what I meant to say was...
Get hold of yourself, you idiot. Making the governor sick.
Well, Mauser, certainly made a lasting impression on the governor.
Well, the only impression that counts, sir, is in this file.
We'll see who's got an academy when this is over. Proctor!
Yeah, so it is. It's a good setup. It's, you know, they make this announcement, and it makes sense that Callahan's there. We got Callahan back, which is good. she's at the academy, just like she was in the first one, so it's a good reason to have her there.
But
For some reason, Jones is there as well.
Which
I
one?
don't know. Right? Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Winslow.
Yeah.
So
of course,
he's there as well, but they have to call in everybody else.
It's something that I didn't quite understand in this film because Commandant Lassard gets an idea on how to win the contest. Along with the now Jones and Callahan, he calls back Sergeant Mahoney, Sergeant Hooks, Sergeant Hightower, and Sergeant Tackleberry to help train the new recruits because Commandant Lassard somehow thinks that these 5 are the key to winning. And
Exactly.
let me just say, our first introduction to Sergeant Mahoney is I think he gets a call and there's like this little kid sitting in his police car and you don't know where Sergeant Mahoney is, and they cross out to some basketball court and he's like teaching girls basketball, and I swear to God, man, that they have to be teenagers, eh?
I know, and he's just like just flirting with them. He's like, huddle in.
Yeah,
a bit closer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A little bit closer, and he's just creepy. He's a little bit creepy, but he's meant to be smooth, eh? And we spoke about this in the first one, as you say, man, about like the sexism and the racism, but he takes it up a notch in this one, I reckon, as far as just like the total sexism.
Yeah, and that little kid, like, he goes away as well, They just have all these side characters that are there for no reason, really.
Yeah.
Except a quick gag. And the little kid, it's that, he's sitting in Mahoney's car, and he takes the call on the radio for Mahoney. And they say, "Oh, just get me Mahoney, and get your feet off the dashboard."
Yeah.
Which, it's a funny little gag, but really, like, that kid's, like, it is. It's just like a quick throwaway gag. And then, they're like, oh, Lassard's in trouble. Oh, man, I got to get to the police academy.
But this film is full of throwaway gags. It's just, oh, man, I did laugh out loud several times whilst watching this film, which I've got to say is considerably more than I did during Police Academy 2.
Yeah, well, what did you think of Hightower, the carver?
Oh, Hightower. The first time you see him is like a backwards shot of somebody wearing like a floral dress, and you don't quite know what's going on. You kind of get the impression it's Hightower, but you don't really put 2 and 2 together until you actually see him, do you?
Yeah, because they just put a dress and a wig on him. Like, he's still got his mustache and everything.
Yeah, I know. Well,
What?
Apparently they wanted him to shave off the mustache, and he just refused. He goes, "No, I'm not doing it."
It's funnier with the mustache.
Yeah, it is funnier with the mustache. That's right. So Commandant Lassard calls back Mahoney, Hawks, Hightower, and Tackleberry to help train the new recruits. And amongst the new recruits are Sergeant Fackler's wife, who we actually met in the first Police Academy film. She was the woman on the car.
Yeah, they do a reversal.
And they do a reversal here. And it's actually quite funny because it opens with them having an argument where Fackler's trying to like explain to her, like, you really don't need to do this. I don't understand. And she's like, "Oh, I'm just joining because I want to spend more time with you." And it's like, "Yeah, I understand it." And then he actually says, quote unquote, he goes, "Yeah, but I'm a man. I earn the money. You're a woman. Your place is in the home." That's what he says.
Yeah.
And I actually went, really? I mean, you could never say that now. There's no way.
Yeah, but he gets his comeuppance too, because of that role reversal. He ends up on the hood of the car, getting taken off down the street.
Yes.
while she's driving. So it's funny. He gets his comeuppance for being a bit sexist there.
It's quite a nice gag, actually. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, and he disappears from the movie after that. Like, they got him back for that one scene. I guess he didn't want to do the whole movie, but hey, at least he came back for that one scene.
I think he came back a couple more times throughout the film, but I don't really remember him too much. No. So yeah, there's Sergeant Fackler. We get Sweet Chuck again, who's very funny in it actually, and Zed, who I've no idea why he's suddenly a Police Academy recruit.
Honestly, I have to say, I think it's the genius thing of this movie was teaming up Zed and Sweet Chuck. I thought it was a great team. And it's from the get-go because, Sweet Chuck's coming in on his little Vespa and, all the cars are beeping at him. Zed comes in on his motorbike and he's screaming at Sweet Chuck as they come in. And then Zed goes flying like over the garden there at the roundabout out the front of the academy and does his bit. And then they cut to Sweet Chuck's face. He seems like kind of pleased that Zed has crashed, and then immediately crashes into the back of a car. I guess it's a brilliant stunt. I don't know what it was about it, but it was like physical comedy that just cracked me up. Of Sweet Chuck slamming into the side of that car.
Well, their whole thing is physical comedy, isn't it? I think it's a key word to what we're going to talk about. Of course, Sweet Chuck and Zed end up being like roommates, don't they? And Zed is hilarious. And Bobcat Goldthwait is hilarious. And you know, it's only upon revisiting these films that I've kind of discovered the genius of Bobcat Goldthwait and just how insane he was as an actor, like to actually make those choices, because he's so out of control with the choices that he makes, and he's hilarious. You know, he's really engaging when you watch him on screen. He's very funny.
Yeah, it's true. And then we've got Karen Adams as well. Yeah, she's just like Mahoney's love interest.
And Mahoney,
wait, nothing.
Doesn't Mahoney kind of like come in, like he meets her for the first time, and then when he suddenly discovers what her name was, he goes, "Roomie, you're my roomie. Why don't we go and take a shower together and do all that kind of stuff?" And he's totally gross, man.
I know, and her line delivery is just terrible because she sort of like pushes him away, and she's just like, "I'm not here to be oogled by some spunk who looks good in a uniform. I want to be a policewoman." And off she storms, and you're like, God, that was just terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible, but it's still quite funny. Anyway, we also get Tacklebearer's brother-in-law, Bud Kirkland, who you mentioned before, which is Jerry Paris's son, Andrew Paris. And again, they repeat probably one of the better gags in the second film with Kirkland's family and the dad, and they punch each other, don't they?
Yeah, where he's just, you'll make one hell of a police officer, and they punch each other in the face. There was also the scene with Tackleberry too, with Bud like trying to find him in the backyard, and the backyard just looks like a jungle. Yes. Tackleberry comes popping out.
Oh man,
it's pretty funny.
It's quite funny. We also get to meet Tomoko Nagata, who we mentioned before, which is Brian Tocci. That's the actor name, I should say. He's a recruit. He's actually a recruit at Mauser's academy, but Mauser actually transfers him in to Lasard's academy instead of in hopes of sabotaging the latter's academy further. But again, we're talking about like racism and whatnot, and Mauser is totally 100% racist to him, like saying really derogatory things, isn't he? Like I can't remember exactly what he says, but
he calls him a stir-fried shrimp at one point.
That's right.
He calls him Fu Manchu. Like, jeez. There was actually, I have to admit, I laughed out loud, and it's like the quickest thing. But as they, he says, get rid of him, send him over to Lasard's academy. And as they pull him away, Nagata goes, thank you, or something like that. And Mauser turns around and goes, kiss my what? As if he, like he didn't even sound like what Nagata said. But for some reason, he thought he was like having a go at him. I'm like, What is that? It's so weird.
It's so strange, isn't it? It's so strange. but Nagata actually fits in quite well over at Lasard's academy, and he's very funny. I was glad he was in this film.
Yeah. So it feels like the first movie again, because we do have all these recruits, and we have the familiar people that we know who are there to train them, and then it's just going to go through gag after gag of the training.
Yeah, exactly. And so after a few weeks of training, we discover that Nagata is actually love-struck over Sergeant Callahan, and Sweet Chuck actually contemplates quitting after his roommate Zed drives him totally crazy by playing bongos in the middle of the
Man, I loved that scene of Zed playing the bongos because like Sweet Chuck's like up against the wall freaking out, and Zed comes up to him playing the bongos, and he's like, do you like salsa? Do you like reggae?
This is off my first album. It's very funny. It's legitimately funny. It made me laugh. It was good.
Yeah, and then they get taken outside to pick up trash,
Yeah, because doesn't Tackleberry pull them aside because Zed, Sweet Chuck tries to quit. That's right, and he says, "You're not a quitter, are you?" You know, and tries to talk him out of it, and yeah, they get in trouble, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it's actually kind of funny too, because after like Tackleberry talks Sweet Chuck into staying, they have this scene where they need to kick open a door and shoot the perp.
Yeah.
And Tackleberry walks up to Sweet Chuck and he's like, "Sweet Chuck, what's the word?" Sweet Chuck just kill. You know, he's not even saying it very passionately. Oh, man.
Oh, so I mean, I think you can tell by the tone of our conversation so far that we enjoyed this film a little bit more than the previous one. It's a fun film, isn't it?
Yeah, and as it goes along, I mean, it's pretty much like they keep screwing up while this committee is evaluating them. So it's never looking very good. You know, at one point, Zed like actually gets one of like the women from the committee, and they go for a drive with his old gang.
Yes,
to figure out.
Yeah.
Fackler's wife, and where was I going with that? Oh, Fackler's wife gets in a police chase.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know.
And there's 2 committee members in the car, and she ends up like flipping the car upside down.
Yeah. Well, isn't Hooks in the car as well, or something like that?
Hooks is there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the crux of it. They just keep going through all these like little bits and pieces to show that they're screwing up in front of the committee.
Yep. They actually end up at this kind of police person's ball somehow, and Mahoney actually meets up with his hooker friend from the first film that serviced Lieutenant Lassard so well, doesn't he? And has her do a favour on Proctor after the latter insults Mahoney and Lieutenant Adams.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty funny. She gets him naked.
It's the only
and then locks him out of the room.
It's the only thing they really give Proctor to do in this film.
Yeah,
he's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Other
than that, you know, it's the scenes with Mauser.
Yeah, that's right.
And I have to say, like, Mauser is doing such a good job. And Proctor by himself, you know, the whole nude scene it wasn't like overly funny, really. I mean, it ended with the big punchline that he ended up in the Blue Oyster Bar. You know, they got to play that gag again.
Yeah,
still pretty funny. But, you know, it's always the stuff with Mauser. I think Proctor plays off.
What is it with the Blue Oyster Bar, man? Like, you could only assume because he's naked, right? And he finds himself wandering out of the hotel, and then he wanders like 2 doors down, and there's the Blue Oyster Bar. And so you could only assume that they decided to have this police person's ball in the bad end of town.
And they always play the same music for the Blue Oyster Bar. It seems like whenever people walk in there, it's pitch black, and then the lights come on. There's all these, you know, leather-bound bears, and then they play this waltz music. It's a good gag. It's still funny after 3 movies.
I haven't actually looked it up, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got the same blokes back in there as well, like for all 3 films. They probably are, you know, but anyway. So where are we? So meanwhile, whilst all this happens, Mauser actually insults Lassard in front of the recruits by telling him that he is winning after he pestered Hurst so much that Hurst made him believe he was winning. So Mahoney gets him back by giving a speech at the ball, then putting a microphone in a pitcher of water. When Mauser grabs it, it actually electrocutes him.
That's a pretty random random gag.
Keep in mind, earlier in the film, Mahoney actually doesn't he do something to Mauser's eyebrows by putting tape over them? And
he walks up and he says, you know, I don't think you can tell the difference between beer and champagne. And Mauser's like, you're a sap. Of course I can. So they put tape over his eyes. He wins the bet. He's calling them chumps and everything because he won. But yeah, then Proctor has to rip it off and take his eyebrows with it.
Boy, that's a waste of champagne, sir.
Now, what is that crack supposed to mean, Mahoney? It means we don't think you can tell the difference between beer and champagne. You know something? You two are brain dead.
Oh, bet you can. Loser pays.
You're on, Mahoney.
Okay. Can I have a beer in the same glass, please? Mind if we blindfold you, sir?
Why? We wouldn't want you to pee.
Right. Now, can you see anything? Huh?
No.
Sure?
No, I can't
Okay.
see.
Round and round and guess the drink.
Champagne!
Oh, you win! He wins! All right, we'll pay up. Oh, no, let's get at it.
Get two jerks.
Really show them, sir.
Doctor?
Yes, sir.
Oh, give me a hand with this. Take it off. No, don't go slow. Go fast so it doesn't hurt. Ah! Oh, that hurt. Am I okay?
Oh, looks nice. There's a mirror right here, sir.
I got no eyebrows. Where are my eyebrows?
Right here, sir.
So they repeat the gag from the second film with the shampoo in the shower, don't they? Kind of.
Exactly. Instead of his hair, it's his eyebrows.
It's his eyebrows. And to be fair, Mauser plays it in a pretty funny way.
Yeah, every scene, like when he's trying to suck up to the committee at the policeman's ball, and one of his eyebrows falls off,
Yeah.
and Commissioner Hurst is just like, "Get it together, man! You're falling apart."
Yeah, that's exactly.
Sticks it back onto his forehead.
That's exactly
vertically.
right. Oh my god, it's very funny. And then he gets electrocuted by Mahoney, which is even funnier. But
And Lassard's Academy does like this pretty fun number when they get up. This team, it's a team and it takes two song, and they keep cutting, from like one side of the ball where Lassard's Academy is, and everyone's up on stage and they're all singing, and then they cut over to Mauser's side, and they're all just like sitting there,
and just
stiff and military-like.
Just quickly, in that scene too, there's a weird sequence as well, because you've got Tackleberry on the saxophone. You've got Callahan and Hooks as like soul singers kind of thing, and
Tackleberry's on, Jones is on the bass.
Jones is on the bass, but there's no strings on the bass.
Really?
Yeah, there's no strings on the bass. I looked. I was watching it, just going, "Where's the strings? Like, is it a joke? Is it meant to be like that?"
Maybe he's making the sounds with his voice.
Oh, I don't know, but it didn't make any sense to me. I just kind of thought, really? But I thought that whole sequence was a bit strange, and it was the sequence that really dated the film as well. Like, I can kind of accept everything else, but the music was pretty 80s, yeah.
Man, I like 80s music though.
I like it too. It's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing with Mauser's Academy, and they're not dancing or anything. It's pretty much like the difference between the two academies is that Mauser has this whole militaristic attitude towards police training, and Hearst goes and sees his academy, and he's got like full coverage. I can see everything that's going on, and he makes a cadet do 50 push-ups just by talking into a microphone and whatnot.
Yes.
I think it sets up that like I really thought it was going to go that like he spends too much money.
Yeah.
So they would shut him down because it's like you spend all this money on surveillance equipment for the academy grounds, and he's always saying like there's a scene where Copeland burns his hand on the candle after seeing Nagata hold his hand over it. He splashes into the punch, which goes all over the commissioner's wife, and Mauser's there and he goes, oh, Copeland's not in my academy, sir, and send me the dry cleaning bill on that.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
right.
it was going to go to like, you spend way too much money.
Yeah.
Lasard's academy is more efficient and more costly, so they are going to win. It doesn't go there, but yeah, throughout the whole movie, he just seems to like waste the academy's money on all kinds of garbage.
Yeah, I know. One thing I did want to kind of mention as well before we go too far is I really enjoyed George Gaines in this film as Commandant Lassard. I actually thought they expanded his role a little and kind of loosened his character up slightly. Did you notice all the goldfish gags? There was like endless goldfish gags, like even to the point where he was sitting at his desk, overlooking the academy, and would move away from his desk, and he'd have these goldfish kind of statues. And didn't he keep like dropping his goldfish out the window, and Mahoney would kind of catch it?
Yeah, it was always weird. Like
even like
his line delivery as well. Like Mahoney catches the goldfish, and he's just up there, and he goes, "Thank you, Mahoney."
Yeah, that's right.
Mahoney, anytime, sir. And he's like, what a weird scene.
I know. And isn't there a sequence when he's sitting in like a car or something, and he's being driven somewhere, and he's reading a book about goldfish?
It's a good gag. They just set up that one goldfish gag in the first one. They do it again in the second one. He brings his brother Pete the goldfish. This one, it's just all goldfish. Everything about his life and personality is goldfish.
All goldfish. That's what his hobby is. But you know what, and as we mentioned before, like he plays it for truth. Like he's very. You're right. He's a really good actor because he plays it really honestly, and you believe him and you laugh at him, and he clearly wants to be there, and he's good at his job, and all the cadets are working for him. Like they clearly like being there.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still witless. He still plays that witlessness to a T. When Mauser walks up to him and says, "Oh, it looks like we're winning." And he gets up and he's like, "Oh, I'm so happy when people I know win. Oh, this is so great."
Yeah.
Wait a minute, if you're winning, then we're losing.
That's right.
So he's like, it takes him a minute to sort of get to it.
So back to the film. On the final day of the cadet training evaluation competition, one recruit from each school actually attends the governor's ball. Proctor actually misunderstands and sends in two, one of which is portrayed by David James Elliott, who I have no idea who that is. Copeland and Blanks play with the computer system as cars are sent to wrong locations, but are quickly caught by Hooks. And doesn't she have this sequence where she punches them both at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. That's like, it's one of two things that Copeland and Blanks actually do. Yeah, they're mucking around with the
new cutting edge
system,
computer system. Yeah. And
so
isn't there a scene where she goes, okay, let's send in Mahoney. He's only like 3 blocks away, and they go, no, send in Tackleberry. And he's like, no, but Tackleberry's across town. That doesn't make any sense at all. And they just do it, kind of thing. And that's when she kind of gets the shits.
Yeah. But, it's a weird sequence because there's like a bank robbery.
Yeah.
So that's where they send Tackleberry, and I think Hightower is on the way there, but they end up driving into like a lake or something.
So and he looks at his partner and says, "Don't say a word to anyone," kind of thing.
Yeah, it's weird because then there's people robbing the governor's ball.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, there's a bunch of rich people here, so we'll rob all these rich people. I'm like, so this is a whole separate thing from that bank robbery, which goes nowhere.
I'll be honest with you, mate. This is where the film kind of fell apart for me.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, it was all gags, all fun, just like the first movie. But then they throw in this weirdo action chase sequence.
And it doesn't really work at all. You don't...
You were saying that song was like so 80s. This is super 80s because it's not just a chase. It's like ski-doos and water bikes. It's I don't know. Yeah, for the 80s, I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen an action sequence quite like it before or since. So.
And they try and kind of give Mahoney like an action man kind of thing, don't they? And you're right. When I think of the last 15 minutes of this film, I think of that scene when they're on kind of like the water skis heading towards the boat or whatever it is at the end to kind of, you know, save the day, and it just looks super cheesy. It's like an episode of it's like a bad episode of Baywatch.
It really is. But, you know, I think everybody kind of gets their thing to do in this chase. You know, he doesn't do a lot in these films, which, you know, it's not how I remember it. But Jones does this thing where he, like, goes under the water like a submarine.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's okay.
I actually thought Jones, Michael Winslow, like you still don't know anything about who Sergeant Larvell Jones is. Like he's totally an enigma as far as like what his background is, who he is, or anything like that. He's literally there to make sound effects. But you know what? He kind of made me laugh more in this film than he did in the previous two.
Yeah.
I think they kind of let him loose a little bit. Like he showed up several times, and he did that Bruce Lee martial arts thing. Like I think he did it twice in this film, but he had Nagata as his backup in this film.
Yeah, which is get the Japanese guy doing the
doing the mic.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Nagata was pretty funny too because they kind of set him up with the karate stuff earlier, and then all the spiritual stuff with the candle and the posturepedic bed from New Delhi. It's so weird. And then he gets his whole arc with Callahan as well. So
yeah, I know.
So, you know, he's pretty good. I didn't mind the character overall. But yeah, he comes in with Jones at the end and gets the karate sequence. And Sweet Chuck, I think, was pretty funny at the end too. Like he goes out on the water bike and sort of just gets dragged along. Like he can't stand on it.
That's right.
That's pretty fun.
I forgot about that. But doesn't Lassard make a choice where he realizes one of his crew's in trouble, and they say, well, you know, what about the decision, sir? And he goes, screw the decision. One of my men's in trouble, and they go and like save the day. And that's kind of like the key point to actually making sure that his academy was the one that kind of stayed open. Because I'm not sure if you know by this point, but let's just say that Lassard's academy is the one that wins. Yeah, because like as soon as they're faced with any kind of trouble, Mauser's men faint. Yes, yeah, and that's what happens because in the at the end, the final choice is of the most effective academies proven when Mauser's cadets promptly faint upon being threatened by the thieves, and Lassard's cadet Hedges manages to sound the alarm, prompting the two academies to investigate. Mauser and Proctor prove to be overconfident and ineffective to react to the emergency, but Lassard's squad arrives just in time to rescue the governor, which is all important.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, we didn't even talk about Cadet Hedges. I mean, he comes in as this rich dude who for some reason wants to be a cop. And he's, again, that's another character that's just a non-character.
Yeah, you're right. I know.
He does nothing in the film except at the end there where he discovers these people about to rob them. But he does nothing.
I still find it
just promptly disappears.
I still find it amusing what you said to me before about Cadet Sarah and who she actually was, because I had no idea. Because you're right, she shows up at the start and she's like, it's quite like a reasonable scene at the start. You expect her to be more of a character, and she literally doesn't show up for the rest of the film. It makes me kind of think that possibly there was a longer cut of this film at some stage, and I reckon they cut heaps out.
Yeah,
because the film is short.
The cast is already big enough. Like, we don't need all these extra people, really. You can cut so many people, and you know, people get the short shrift, like Hedges and Cadet Sarah.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, as a result of Lassard's squad being able to kind of deal with an emergency and to rescue the governor's final judgment, Lassard's school stays open, and the epilogue shows Lassard, making a speech on how the academy is grateful for the many, many recruits.
You gotta say it like that too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's done that in the last 2 movies too. Many.
He's quite good at it, though.
He is. You can't do it justice. You know, only George Gaines can pull that off. But yeah, so the Academy, Lassard's Academy, stays open, and that's the end of the film.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain this is the last time we see Art Matrano, as we mentioned earlier, apart from the Police Academy TV show, which I haven't seen. No. And I could be wrong, but I don't think we see Lieutenant or Sergeant Fackler again. I think this might be the last time we see him. As well.
No, I'm pretty sure Fackler comes back for one more.
Really?
At least one more. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
pretty sure.
Well, I look forward to Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Yes, that is next week's episode. Ratings, recommends?
I reckon this is a strong rating. I laughed at it a lot. It's not great cinema. None of these movies are great cinema, but they're fun. And it made me laugh. If I get 3 or 4 really good laughs out of a film, I'm probably going to watch it again. And I'll probably revisit this one in a few years' time. You know, on a lazy kind of Saturday afternoon when there's not much going on. It's not great cinema, but it made me laugh. I definitely recommend this one.
Rating?
Oh, I'm going to give it. I was thinking about this before. I'm going to give it 6.5 tackleberries out of 10.
Keep going with the tackleberries.
Yeah, he's my favorite character out of all of it. And even in this one, where he didn't have a hell of a lot to do, he still made me laugh. And he did. I mean, something that I've kind of noticed as the movies keep going, they keep recycling gags. I mean, you've got Lieutenant Jones with his karate thing and just all the sound effects kind of thing. You've got Tackleberry doing the whole "do it now, mister," all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And shooting someone. You've got Lieutenant Hooks repeating the same gag of, what does she say, man?
Don't move, dirtbag.
Don't move, dirtbag. You know, that's right.
Yeah.
And
the Blue Oyster Bar.
You got the Blue Oyster Bar showing up. You got Lieutenant Mauser with the hair loss on his head and the eyebrows gag being recycled. You got the goldfish gag being recycled.
True. There is a lot of recycling. Actually, now you mention it all, I'm like, wow, yeah, they do recycle a lot. It's still funny though.
It's still funny. So, what about you? Would you give it a recommend?
Yeah, I give this a strong recommend. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I still think it's a lot stronger than the second one, and it's very, very funny. So much stuff, especially, as much as you like Tackleberry, I think Bobcat Goldthwait is just hilarious. And like I said, teaming him up with Sweet Chuck, I thought that was a great pairing between the two of them.
Do we see Bobcat Goldthwait again in the next one?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, good. Okay, so we've got at least one more.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this 7.5 bongos.
7.5 bongos. I like it. Nice one.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, cool, man.
So we just want to remind everybody, too, that we have our Citizens on Patrol section where we want to hear from you guys. You know, you got any thoughts on the movies we're talking about? Send us an email, even retrospectively. Write us emails about stuff we've already talked about because we'd love to get your opinion. We'd love to read them out and give you guys a shout out on the show. So
because
contact with us.
I think it's safe to say that most people have maybe not seen all these films, but certainly have experiences with Police Academy. And Police Academy is a big franchise. You know, whether you think about it or not, like they were big films and they made a lot of money and have certainly left their kind of however, I mean, you could argue, imprint on the cultural zeitgeist a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they're fun films, so yeah, if you got memories of it, please send them in and we'll talk about them on the show. It'll be good.
Yeah. All right, so let's play another round of Who Said This?
Yes.
So give me a count in.
All right, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, scene.
This is a city street, not a drag strip, thank you.
Who said that?
Yeah, so hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Rewatch Quote, or hit us up on Facebook, send us an email, all that stuff. If you think you know who said that in Police Academy 3, then throw it out there.
Sounds good. Do it. So,
So next week,
Yes.
Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
yep.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, only four more films to go. Is there 6 or 7?
It's 7.
There's 7. Mission to Moscow is the last one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Nice. All right.
So
We'll
let's
get
see how
there.
it holds up against 1 and 3.
You know what? Like
2 was a little bit lower, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
I know. I was heartened by this one. As I was watching it last night, it made me, I did enjoy it quite a bit. As I said, it's not great, but it's fun.
Nice.
So that's it for this episode of the Rewatch Podcast. Keep up with listener interaction by joining our Facebook page at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast, or follow the show on Twitter at Rewatch Pod, and visit our webpage rewatchpodcast.podomatic.com.
And remember, you can always write us an email or record a voice message and send it to the rewatchpodcast at gmail.com. And also, if you've enjoyed the show, please consider giving us a rate and review on iTunes. Helps people find the show and helps build up listener interaction as well. So thank you very much for that.
Nice.
And, of course, you can help support the Rewatch Podcast by heading over to patreon.com/Rewatch Podcast, where you can make a monthly contribution as little as $1, and that just helps us keep the lights on, helps just pay for hosting costs and bandwidth and all that stuff. And we appreciate any help you can.
Any contributions appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for joining me again, Nathan.
No worries. I look forward to next week.
Yeah, and I'll just say until next time, it's a fact, a hama. Does this guy have a way with words?
And you owe me $700, man. That was a $700 taxi ride. You owe me money, man. See you next week.
The Rewatch Podcast is not associated with the copyright holders of these films, and no copyright infringement is intended. The use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, or educational purposes as provided in Title 17, aka Fair Use. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Copyright 2016, The Rewatch Podcast.